Welcome everyone to the Wolves Den and another action figure review. Today we are taking a look at a 3-pack of figures, the Toys R Us exclusive 3-pack of the Cobra Legion from the new G.I. Joe line of figures. In this 3-pack we have 2 new figures in the form of a Saw Viper here and a female Cobra Officer, and then we have the remade or repainted Cobra B.A.T here. Notice they're using the same package design that they've been using the last few years, with the nice black and blue color scheme here with the G.I. Joe Real American Hero logo. But you'll also notice that the star no longer contains the 50th anniversary logo, so they've moved on from the 50th anniversary after a couple years of doing so. So let's take a quick look at the back of the package, because we've got some nice artwork back here of the 3 Cobra figures in this pack, and the 3 Joes that are in the other 3-pack that I'll have in another video. Alright, now that we've taken a look at the figures in the packaging, let's open them up and take a look at them individually. First off today, we're going to start with the Saw Viper, so let's take a look at his articulation. Start with the head. It does rotate side to side. No issues there, but there's no real movement up or down. Arms rest at the side, that close. Hindered a little bit by his web gear. Without the web gear, that actually could get much closer to the body, but he's actually really thin under this web gear. Because I did take it off earlier to test out his shoulders, because you'll see right here, his shoulders only move that far out. They cannot go any farther. And I thought maybe it was hindered because of the web gear, but it's not. It's actually this shoulder piece here, just the way it's constructed to go, and with the upper body here, it's actually stopped from moving any farther. And both arms are that way. So removing the web gear won't help his arm movements at all. But it does still rotate at the shoulder there. Elbow has one bend, decent bend there. Would be nice if it went farther up. And wrists rotate, and there's no further articulation in the wrists. He does have a little bit of an ab crunch there, so he can bend forward. Again, it's hindered by the web gear from doing much more than that. Legs move fully out to the side and forward. No hindrance there. Nice double jointed knees. And the boots can move up and down and rotate all around. Not a lot to say about the head sculpt on this figure. Just a basic masked head, but the details that are there, they did a good job on the eyes, and you can see the mouth and the nose a little bit in there. So it's nice that those details are there. They did a good job on that. The rest of the figure is very nicely detailed, especially the vest that he's wearing. I do like that they painted some of the vest here, some of the pockets here, and added some different colored accessories to the vest, like the binoculars, the knife sheath. They even painted the buckles on this sheath. Another sheath on the back, some grenades there. It's nice that they added some color to it so the figure pops a little bit, because there are so many details on here. So many pockets and ammo clips and such. That would be nice if they were painted. I understand why they can't, the cost of it all, but there are just tremendous amount of detail here. I do like the look of the shoulder pads and the arm pads. Very nice look. Even though they hinder his movement, they still look nice. And just a lot of other nice details, like on the pant legs, how the different folds and creases. Just overall a very nice looking figure. The Saw Viper comes with numerous accessories, first being the figure stand, which he's on already. Next we have his helmet here. Get a better look at that. Some nice little tiny details on there. It fits nice and snug on his head. It stays on really well. Doesn't hinder movement at all. Next we have a couple knives. First, you can see the paint has kind of chipped off already. And that one came out of here. And then on his back he has another sheath, and we've got a knife for that. Oh. There we go, fits better that way. And then we've got a little gun, which he doesn't have a holster to put in, so that just has to sit loose. Then he's got a minigun here, which does come apart. Got the ammo belt here, this piece here. This piece will fall off often while trying to put it in his hands, and same goes for this. You can get it in his hands, it just takes some effort, and I'm not going to waste time trying to put it in his hands because it'll take too much time just to sit and watch me fumble around trying to get it in his hands. But you can get it in there. It fits nicely in there. It's just going to fall apart a lot while you're trying to do it. And last would be the saw, you know, what he's named for. So we've got this gun here, and this does fit well in his hands also. This shouldn't take long getting in his hands. The ammo drum will fall off quite often when you're putting it in his hands, but once it's in his hands, it shouldn't fall off. But trying to put it in his hands, it'll probably fall off. And he holds the gun reasonably well. With his limited arm articulation, it's hard to get him to hold it in, you know, maybe a really nice looking position. You see this hand here is just kind of floating. From this angle, it looks like he's holding it well, but over here, it's just kind of floating. You can maybe push it in a little bit more. Maybe look like he's holding it. It's really hard to get him to hold it maybe just right, but he does look good from certain angles holding the saw there. And last, he does, like all the figures in this line, come with the multiple file cards in different languages, and we're gonna just put the English one up here for everyone to look at. Alright, and now let's move on to my final thoughts. The biggest issue with the Saw Viper is its arm articulation. It has very limited movement in how you can position the arms, so you won't be able to hold the guns exactly how you may always want him to, or it might look good from one angle but not another. So there's very limited articulation in the arms, and that's the one thing that holds this figure back. Otherwise, it is a very nice looking figure, very aesthetically pleasing. Lots of good detail, lots of nice choices for parts to get a good looking figure. I know I've said before I don't like figures that don't look realistic as far as modern colors, so I'd prefer like greens or browns or dark blues or reds or something like that that's more realistic, and purple definitely isn't realistic. I know he's purple because the original Saw Vipers released back in the day were purple, so this is an homage to that. Excuse me. But with this figure, I just like the way he looks enough that I can look past the purple. You know, for some reason, with this figure, it just appeals to me a lot, and I can look past that non-realistic color scheme and really enjoy the way this figure looks. And with that, we will move on to the B.A.T. Here we have the Cobra Battle Android Trooper, or the B.A.T as it is more well known. Let's take a quick look at his articulation. Head does rotate left and right, no issues there. No up or down movement though. Arms rest at the sides, pretty close, although this one not as close because of this plastic piece here, part of the grenades there, and this strap, so that kind of limits that a little bit. but the shoulders do raise up pretty high, and then they do have full rotation. Elbows have a kind of a unique 180 joint here, and then the upper arms do rotate, but there's no hand or wrist articulation at all. Torso does rock side to side, and there's a little bit of ab crunch forward and back. Legs do move out to the side pretty well. This little plastic piece doesn't hinder it at all, so it does move to the side pretty well and forward all the way. And then he does have a nice double jointed knee, and the feet do rotate all the way around and then rock up and down. The head sculpt on the Bat is your pretty basic Bat look, with the black helmet, the red visor. Well, I think other Bats have had different colored visors. This one happens to be red, but I think they did a really nice job with the sheen on this one. They give it this metallic black, but also it's kind of battle worn, or well worn anyway, because it's got kind of these silvery scratches and scrapes on the helmet, which gives it a really unique look. Like he's been out in the field for a long time and hasn't been, repaired or touched up or anything. And we see all the little metallic details throughout the figure. You got the neck here, the arm. I like the dark, gritty, silvery paint job they gave it. It's got a nice shine to it. It makes it looks like he's a real robot there. You can see that on the other arm too. The belt's really nice here. It's got this little leather attachment, leather looking attachment going down to his holster there, which is really nice. Got whatever this is. I'm assuming it's some sort of compressor or something to keep him running. Who knows? I don't know. Really can't tell by the looks of it anyway what it's supposed to be. Hoses running along here. So a lot of cool little robotic parts. Then we've got kind of the iconic chest plate here where you can see all the hoses and hydraulics going on inside of them. And this piece is removable. There we go. And you can replace it with a battle damaged one. Because the Joes are shooting at his chest trying to knock him out. So we got this cool battle damaged piece there also. I really like the kind of the gray and black urban camo pattern they put on this figure. You can see it throughout here. It's really, really well done. Yeah, very nice paint apps throughout the figure. The Bat comes with a few accessories, first of which is his figure stand, which I have him on right now. He also comes with 3 little arm attachments. Oop. We have like the drill attachment there, the claw, and then the flamethrower. All well painted in that same metallic look that's already on the figure. Very well detailed. They have a nice look. Claw even opens and closes. And then he also comes with a backpack to hold his arm attachments. Sad thing is he can only hold 2 of them. So they just peg right in there. Like so. So his third one will have to be just set aside. Who knows what you're supposed to do with it when he's going in the field. But there he is, his backpack. Other accessory, he does have this gun in the holster, and the gun stays in there really nice and tight, so it's a really good holster for his gun. And that fits in his hand really well. To get the attachments on and off, you basically just need to pull really tight on the hand. And then you'll eventually pop it off. And you pop the attachment on, and he's ready to go. There it goes. Both hands can pop off, so he could have two different attachments if you so desired. And that is all his accessories. Now for my final thoughts. Before I give my final thoughts, I just remembered you need to see his file card. So here's the English version. He does come with the 4 different languaged file cards. Alright. Now my final thoughts. The only thing I don't like about the Bat is the same thing I haven't liked about Bats since the beginning when they were first introduced, and that is their little visible chest piece where you could see the inner workings and the hydraulics and such. I've never liked that idea. I've never liked the look of it. I've always thought it looks silly. So I really don't like that they keep including that. I know they do it just as a throwback to the vintage figure, but I wish they would stop doing that and just hide that chest piece. So that's why I like the cracked one, because it hides things a little bit better underneath. Other than that, I think this is a really good figure. I really like the paint apps throughout. The camouflage is really nice looking. The paint work on the hands and neck, the arms, it's got that nice metallic feel. The head's got a really excellent paint job. The articulation is very good. It's better than you would expect for something that's supposed to be this lumbering robot. It's better articulation than are on some human figures. So it's a very, very good looking figure. Just that one thing that bothers me personally. I don't know if it bothers other people, but it bothers me. Otherwise, it's a great figure. And now let's move on to the Cobra Officer. And last up, we have the female Cobra Officer. So let's take a look at her articulation, starting with the head. And it does have the full left and right rotation. Very, very slight up and down movement. Not worth noting, really. Let's see, arms rest at the side pretty well. Then they can move out 90 degrees, and then they do have full 360 rotation. Does have a elbow bend, slight bend there. And then her wrists rotate. No other articulation in the wrists. She's got a slight crunch in the abs, but not very much. Legs do go almost fully out to the side and then fully forward. She's got double jointed knees, and then her feet rotate and then rock up and down. Figure has a brand new head sculpt. They did a really nice job getting in the eyes and the eyebrows in there. They're nothing special, but they're not lopsided or off-center or cross-eyed or anything, so they did a good job painting those. It's got a nice little ponytail hanging off the back. They did a nice job painting the blonde hair in there. She has this, I believe it's a new piece of web gear. Just a simple straps that go over the shoulder and around the back, but I believe it is a new piece of web gear, maybe designed just for this body type. I haven't seen it used before, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a new piece of web gear. We've got the nice silver Cobra symbol here on her chest, symbolizing that she is an officer. Let's see, moving down the figure, it's just pretty plain along the arms and the body here. Yeah, little belt that's painted on with some pouches and whatnot. Then we get down to the legs, where they used kind of the traditional Cobra Trooper legs that we've seen used many times before, not just on Cobra Troopers, but on lots of different Joes, and it's got kind of that baggy, worn look. So they tried to give her these big baggy pants that she's wearing. It's got the knee pads that are removable, so you need to watch out for those. Don't lose those, because they do kind of pop off easily. She's got the holster on this side. It's a nice tight fit for the pistol that goes in there. And it does have a silencer, which is also pegged in here. So I'll show you that right now. So it's a nice silenced pistol there. Then down here she's got a knife sheath. And the knife just slides right in and out real nice. And over here is something new that I haven't seen them use before. It's got a little peg on it, and we've got some C4, some dynamite here, some sort of explosive material, and that just pegs on there. And it doesn't stay very well. With a little manipulation, it'll just pop right off usually here. Maybe if you squeeze it on there tight, it might stay, but at least in my experience, it usually falls right off. But that's something new that I haven't seen them use before on a figure. Lots of nice paint apps, just simple little things like painting the straps there. It's just a nice little effect. Really helps bring out some of the look of the figure a little bit. I do want to point out, since I've mentioned it before, if you watched my review with Shooter, where I didn't like the holster that she had, and I mentioned they had a different holster that they've used before. This is the holsters I was talking about. It doesn't stick out very far. This one's probably half the size, if not smaller than the one on Shooter. So this is the one that I thought they could have given her. I mean, it's already a silenced pistol holster. Why they made a new one for her, I don't know, but I thought this one would have been a good choice for Shooter. So if you were wondering what I was talking about, that's what I was talking about. Alright, let's take a look at the rest of her gear. As always, the figure comes with a figure stand. I have her standing on it right now. She also has this helmet, which fits right on her head like so. Get a closer look at that. You can see it's got the little black insignia on there. It doesn't sit on her head very well. It does tend to fall off with a little manipulation, so it doesn't sit on her head very well. I don't know if this is a newly designed helmet or if they just reused an old one, but if you just leave her alone, it stays on there, but if you start manipulating her any, it will fall off. Next we have this rocket launcher, this RPG. It doesn't come apart at all. Some rocket launchers in the past, the rocket actually popped out, but this is just one solid piece. She has the rifle that most Cobra Troopers have been coming with lately. Nice little paint apps there on the handle and the stock there. And lastly, she comes with this backpack. We've seen this backpack on other figures in the past. Usually it's just solid color. They actually added some blue there, let it stand out more. And then we have these mines that clip onto these pegs. And so you can just clip those on and off, and you got some landmines that you can use. And the nice thing about this backpack is it does open up. Got some little pegs on the straps there. If I can get my fingernails in there. And then it opens up. Got a nice big space in there where you can put some other equipment and whatnot. And then it closes nice and easy. And let's see if we can fit it on her back. See if we can get it around her ponytail here. And there the helmet goes. So yeah, you can get it on there. The ponytail may be slightly in the way, but it does fit on there. Get the helmet back on. Let's see how well she holds her gun. Yep, she holds it reasonably well. Let's see if we can get her in a position there. Alright. There, now she's ready for action. And again, I forgot to show her file card, so here it is. The English version anyway. She does have 4 different ones in 4 different languages. So you can have a look at that. And now I will give you my final thoughts. I have a number of issues with this figure, and I will start with the helmet, which I don't think is a very good helmet for this figure. It just looks like it's kind of resting on her head, just overly large. It's not a very good fit for the figure, so it just doesn't look very good. Next issue I have are her arms, which she's holding this rifle alright. She looks pretty good holding the rifle there, but that's about the best pose you're going to get her in with it. You can't really do much more, because she has the same arms that Shooter has, and if you watch that review, she had issues holding her weapon. Granted, Shooter had this giant sniper rifle, so she had a terrible time holding that gun, whereas the Cobra Officer can hold this gun pretty well. So her arms aren't the best. There are definitely better arms that they could have put on this figure that would allow her to hold the rifle in many more positions other than this one. So while this is okay, they could have done better. So that's just a minor quibble, I guess, there. Another minor quibble would be her web gear here. It's just very loose fitting, and it's very plain. I wish they could have done something better with the web gear, something more elaborate. Just otherwise, it's just very plain looking, not very exciting. I think they wanted to put something, you know, over the torso to give it a little something extra other than just the plain blue. But they probably could have done something better than this, especially since I think this is a brand new piece of web gear, something they hadn't used before. Another minor quibble I have is this explosive that's supposed to peg in there. It pegs in there alright, but much like the helmet, it will eventually fall off if you start manipulating the figure too much. So nice idea, but it doesn't stay pegged in very well. Also, it looks extra bulky sitting there, whereas they could have maybe just taken this extra piece out that's on her leg here and maybe just put something thinner with a peg on it, or a peg just sticking right out of her leg, or maybe a hole in her leg and this could have a peg where that would have fit in. It wouldn't have stuck out as much and maybe even fit better. But that's another minor quibble. And my final issue with the figure, and probably the biggest issue with the figure, is just, I guess, the legs. And maybe not necessarily the legs, but just the flow of the figure. It is very thin and small up top, but then as soon as you get to the legs, it's very bulky It's a very different size. I mean, these are male legs. They've used these legs on dozens of male figures in the past. So I know they were trying to get the baggy kind of pants look, but it doesn't flow well with the rest of the figure. The top of the figure is very thin, very petite, and then we have these just big old baggy legs. I know they use these legs on other female figures, specifically the Lady J from a couple years back. But they managed to make that work with that Lady J just because her upper body was a bit bigger. So it looked good with her. It flowed well with her, whereas this is just a very thin figure. And then suddenly, so you go from all this thin just to this super, super, bulky, baggy look. And it just doesn't flow well. So it's kind of awkward to look at. I appreciate what Hasbro did here. They gave what everyone's been asking for in the form of a female Cobra, somebody other than the Baroness. This happens to be an officer, but people will still gladly buy multiples of these and have troops of them. So I appreciate that Hasbro has finally listened and done something that people have been clamoring for years. I just think they could have executed the figure better. It doesn't look horrible, but it also is definitely not as good as it could have been. It's okay looking, but there's definite problems with the way the figure looks and operates as far as articulation. The upper body's articulation could be a lot better. And so hopefully if they decide to do different female Cobras in the future, they don't reuse this formula and they find a better way of doing the figure, because they have a lot of different parts out there that they could do, or they could come up with something new, some new molding, some new pieces, and do something better. As it is, this is a nice start, but it's definitely not that great. Alright, I'd like to thank everybody for watching again. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I hope to see you again soon with some more reviews. Until then, thanks for watching.